Welcome to Facebook Live on your Sunday morning debate day here in St. Louis. We're on the campus of Washington University. I'm here with my colleague Betsy Bruce. Good to see you.
Good morning.
And I'm John Brown. We're in the Facebook Live area, which is really the nicest area of the entire media center.
That's
Just
right.
shows how important social media has become in these events, because you've got 1,000 journalists back there. Facebook's got their own area here, so this is nice.
And we better enjoy these comfortable seats while we have them, right?
They're good, right? When everybody else gets here, they'll be pushing and shoving all over the place. But yeah, this morning, obviously the big topic of conversation is the Donald Trump tapes. And, you know, a lot of people are thinking, will he show up? Will he drop out? He's already answered those two questions. He said, no, I'm not dropping out. 2, I will be there for that debate tonight. So, Betsy, the stakes are even higher now for WashU. This is going to be a big night.
It will be a huge night, and we had, 84 million people
For the
watching.
previous,
The
yeah.
previous one, we'll see what the numbers are like tonight. That should be really impressive to see whether this now suddenly makes even more people want to see what the candidates have to say. And, of course, we've got the emails released by WikiLeaks that may be connected to Hillary. There's some people on her side are questioning whether or not they're accurate, but they're John Podesta, her campaign chairman's supposed emails about her positions on finance and talking to Wall Street in private. So
There's so
two
much to
hot
get through.
topics here.
It's a good thing we're only going to be here for 4 hours. No, I'm just kidding. We've got about a half hour or so. So if you have any questions, you can also sound off right there. We're going to have the questions come to us, and we'll try and get your questions answered as best as possible. But again, tonight, here's the analogy I just used on Hancock and Kelly. We all know the tapes. Most people have seen the tapes. They're awkward to discuss. You don't want your kids to hear them. How does this start tonight? Does he just come out and say, all right, let me clear the air, right? This is what I said. But we now know he's going to say, I said it. Your husband is accused of doing it. Does he go that route right off the top? Because this could get awkward very quickly.
It could get awkward. And because citizens are asking questions, we're going to have 40 uncommitted voters from the St. Louis region sitting on the stage, kind of in a two half semicircles there, with the candidates in the middle and the moderators, of course, on the other side. And then there'll be online questions as well, facilitated through social media like Facebook. So do the moderators go straight to those questions? I mean, I really think it's going to be up to the moderators. I don't know that there's an opening statement for either one of them.
I don't know how you handle this issue, because even after, and I used the analogy on the Hancock and Kelly show a little bit ago, like after you have this knockdown, drag-out fight with your wife, right? You're fighting about something. It doesn't matter where the conversation goes for the next 2 days after that. It's awkward. So they can address it in the beginning, then they get into some other issues, whether it be trade, whether it be international relations. Everybody's still going to be saying, wow, the tapes. And I said, if I was Hillary, I'd keep saying, oh, you want to talk about my Wall Street connections? Have you seen Donald Trump's tapes, right? Does it keep going back to that?
But does that facilitate the real kind of discussion this country needs on policy, on what the next president is going to do? How are you going to handle foreign policy?
People don't care about policy. And this is funny, because I said the Republicans got caught up in this during the Bill Clinton years, right? Where the Democrats would say, this is all about sex, right? Let's not talk about sex. Let's move on to the issues that matter. Republicans said it's important. Now the shoe is flipped. Now Democrats say, wow, you got some sex tapes. That's great. Republicans are saying this doesn't matter. The irony of this being flipped over on this script in this year is it's expected. It's 2016. There's nothing more, I think, that could surprise me. And every time I say that, something else happens. So I don't know that we're going to get to a discussion.
I don't know. Well, I talked to a lot of students this week here on campus, and one young man said, look, we've heard all about their personal character flaws. Nobody's perfect. I want to hear about policy. Now, maybe that's a reflection of this campus where there are a lot of really smart and very studious kids. But, of course, I'm the policy wonk in the newsroom.
Right.
I want to hear about what are you going to do. I want to understand where you want to take this nation.
Will it motivate the 12% of voters? Well, here's the question I've been asking people all along. We have a small crowd over here. Does any of this surprise you about Donald Trump? Crickets, right? And that's why I think it's okay. We had some polls out this morning. Let me make sure I quote them right. It's Politico Morning Consult poll. They did an internet scientific study, right?
I'd like to know what that means.
Right, exactly. Hasn't even moved the needle. Even after all this came out, most people are saying, we already knew this about Donald Trump. So
let's talk policy.
So let's, but I don't know. And so again, you have another big issue, and no one even seems to care. We had a question from Deanna. She says, "Who picks the moderator
for the debate?"
For the
That's
debate.
the question. Well, it would be the Commission on Presidential Debates, which is a bipartisan organization that was created in the early 90s with President Ford, President Carter, and the chairs of the respective parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, to try to bring some organization and focus to these debates, which had been going on off and on, usually facilitated by the League of Women Voters. And so they were able to bring in a lot of corporate money, a lot of structure and organization. And one really interesting story I have to tell about the very first debate was in 1992. A series of debates, and Washington University was pulled into this at the last minute. Literally, they had a week to get ready for it. And here's the behind the news story.
Okay.
Senator John Danforth, a Republican who was one of Missouri's U.S. senators at the time, is the brother of Dr. William Danforth, who was chancellor here at the time.
whose name is on everything in this
That's
campus?
right. That's right. We're on the Danforth campus, and they're a very generous family with their money too, as well. And one of Senator Danforth's former staffers, Janet Brown, who I now believe is head of the commission, was beginning to work for the commission. She called the senator up and said, "We have an emergency. Our university," I don't know which one it was, "has canceled. Can Washington University handle this debate in 1 week? And raise $500,000 to do it? And can you get back to me in an hour?"
Wow.
So the senator said, "All right, we'll see what we can do." He calls his brother. Dr. Danforth said yes. And then he called Augie Bush. August Bush Jr. at that time was alive and running Anheuser-Busch. And he was in a meeting, and he told his secretary, "Well, it'll be worth his time to get out of this meeting." And so he got him on the phone. He said, "Can you give us $500,000 and sponsor the presidential debate?" And Mr. Bush said yes.
And you still have the Clydesdales right outside
That's
this
right.
building
That's
today.
right.
So
And
Anheuser-Busch with their connection.
And then
here.
all the staff, of course, had the work to do
Yeah,
here
exactly.
on campus,
And now
they put it together.
WashU's had more debates than any
That's
other
right.
institution. So yeah, the legacy runs deep here. I will say this: 2 questions I've had. Who won the previous debate? I keep saying Canada. Who lost the previous debate? The moderator. The moderator loses every single debate. You've moderated these. I've been picked to moderate several.
They're tough.
You can't win
They're tough.
because you're expected to know every fact, and these candidates can pull out a number that's not even
right.
factual, and they say, "Why didn't you call them on it?" How are you going to call a candidate on something they just made up? You can't just call a lie.
That's right. Well, you know, I'm a inveterate newspaper clipper. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit old school, but real interesting commentary by Ari Fleischer, who used to work for the Bush administration, talking about an interview that Matt Lauer did on NBC. And he said, you know, it's not up to the interviewer to do the fact checking. The other candidates should do
Right.
it. So that's an interesting point of view.
And that's the danger of these debates as well, is people want to say, "Oh, there was a winner 2 minutes after the debate," but you don't know what they made up. And so yeah, you can say, well, they look good, but were they factual? You know, I can make up a lot of stuff. I do on a daily basis. That doesn't mean I'm factual, right? And so in a presidential debate, this kind of thing matters. So let's bring in some of our guests.
Okay,
You brought in
sure.
some of our, you've lined up some of our guests today. Introduce who is coming
Okay.
over here for us.
Joining us first is Lucy Chin, and she is a senior at Washington University.
Hi, Lucy.
And then to our right is Stephanie, and let me pronounce your last name so we get that right.
Kurtzman.
Kurtzman, and she is the director of the Gephardt Institute, long name for Civic and Community Engagement. So they're both here. Lucy is a fellow with them as well, right? And been here all 4 years?
I have
Or
been
three,
here all 4
3 years
years.
and a few months.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're from D.C., and now politics come to your university. What's the
I know.
vibe here on campus with people? Do they care that it's here? Is it inconvenience? What are your thoughts?
It is funny to me because we've been talking about the debate, and it's been very well known that it's coming to WashU's campus since the beginning of the school year. In the past 3 or 4 days, the energy has really ramped up. I mean, when the first media truck showed up and the first really debate-centric event took place in the Danforth University Center, which is the student center on campus, when all of that started happening, it was no longer, this is an exciting event that's coming to campus. It was here, and everyone was talking about it. I think that people are really excited about opportunities that have come along both directly related to the debate and just around civic engagement and this political cycle. So there's a lot of positive energy, I would say, and a lot of interest from students and staff and faculty to just be around what's happening on campus.
How open-minded do you think student voters are, or have they already made up their minds?
I think that this debate cycle, or this election cycle rather, is giving students and the fact that the debate is here, is giving students a really great opportunity to learn about the gamut of issues that people are talking about. The students at WashU are from all 50 states, a ton of different countries, and really the breadth of opinions is just really wide. So I would say that people are talking about things and engaging with dialogues. Whether or not they've made up their mind, there's a lot of conversations that are happening.
It is funny to walk over here. You walk past the fraternities to get to this media center where the debate is, and you do have the political signs in the window. You have the Hillary Clinton signs, you have the Donald Trump signs. So, I mean, this campus has a great history with politics, and they're engaged right now. It's kind of fun to see. What are your thoughts on what's going on here?
And before we answer that, you can see from Student Life, they're just covering this incredibly well. Lots of things
campus,
going on today on campus.
I think that it is a very exciting time at the university, but we're doing this work all the time. So I think the debate is a platform. It comes right to us. Perhaps students who are not as engaged in politics or in the issues around them can't help but be caught up in all of this. But for us, this is about 365. This is about every day of the year paying attention to the world that's around us, understanding what we think, what we value, and how we can take action on the things that each of us as individuals care about, and starting to understand the perspectives of others and listening with empathy and listening to learn rather than listening to prove a viewpoint.
Now,
and that's
the
work we do
Institute's
all the
been
time.
here for quite a while
Yeah.
because it's named after Congressman Dick
That's right.
Gephardt, who
That's
was
right.
one of our prominent national
right.
leaders from St. Louis for a long time. What do you do year-round? Just give us a quick summary.
Right. We work with students, staff, faculty, and alumni trying to cultivate a culture of civic engagement and community engagement across the university. So our focus is on informed and actively engaged citizens, and that can look a lot of different ways. So we have a number of student-facing programs. We're working on community-engaged courses that involve community in traditional courses at the undergraduate and graduate level. We're developing an alumni effort across the nation. So our work is wide, but always it's focused on cultivating informed and engaged citizens. And hopefully when people like Lucy graduate, they take that sense of civic mindedness with them into whatever career and whatever lives that they pursue after they graduate.
A couple more questions here coming in on Facebook. If you have any questions for anybody on the panel, you can go ahead and write them there, right below the video, and they'll pop up on our screen here. Dora says it's hard to decide. For undecided voters, probably so. I mean,
That's
we've
right.
heard
Maybe after tonight they'll have an answer.
Maybe time and time again we've heard these are the two most unpopular presidential candidates of all time. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then also, Alinda says, I hope they stick to the issues. The people you're around, well, you're not a fair representative. You guys deal with the issues all the time. Do you think people care about the issues? Or are they just wanting to see how this starts off tonight with these tapes?
It's another reality show.
I feel like we're in one, Betsy. I think this is the end of a big reality show, I think.
I want you to answer that first.
Sure. I think that students, particularly on this campus, are in a really unique position because in our classes, a lot of times we're talking about issues, we're learning about policies, both past and present. The debate this year and the fact that it's being held on WashU's campus is giving students an opportunity to really see the relationship between what they're learning in their classes and how it plays out in the real world. There are everyday new examples of a piece of our classwork or a piece of a conversation we've had with friends or a professor, and how it relates to what's happening right now. So I think that students do care about the issues. I mean, there's a lot of stories that are shared because they, show up on Facebook pages or video clips, but beyond just the sort of excitement around the politicians and what's happening, I think people and students really are engaged in the issues.
It's got to be so much easier to keep up with the news. I mean, I'm going to sound like an old fogey here very quickly, but it's got to be so much easier with Facebook and other news feeds coming straight to your phone, so you can. We used to have to walk to a thing called a library and read a thing called newspapers. And now you have it all coming straight to your phone. That's a big change from when all of us were back in education.
Right. And even for me, I can get a quick pulse on what the students are talking about and thinking about by scrolling through my Facebook feed or my Twitter feed, for that matter.
Is this campus directed, do you think, in more toward the liberal side? I mean, one of the criticisms that conservatives have had, of course, all along is that there are professors out there who are dictating to their students how they must think politically.
I think that the most prominent message that I've gotten from professors that I've engaged with is, regardless of who you're voting for or what is encouraging you to get to the ballot box, vote or become a voter. Engage with the process and learn about the issues that matter to you, and become educated around the issues, so that it's not just this time you're voting or because the debate here you're voting, rather that you're preparing yourself to become a voter this election, the next election, for elections to come. So I don't think that I have specifically heard, this policy issue is really important, or this is how you should be thinking about this. Just educate yourself, ask good questions, and become someone who is engaged with the issues.
A lot of opportunity today. There's a big discussion on economic policy, I think at about 1:30, between the key economic advisors from both candidates right here on campus. So the kids, if you really want to learn up on something, you can go there.
That's right.
Excuse me. Next question here. David, he says his daughter wants to know if it's exciting to be a part of the debate. We'll just go down the row here because we've all in some capacity been a part of this. Let's start with you. What are your thoughts on being... We're a part of it because we're here, I guess, is kind of what he's thinking.
It is incredibly exciting. So what you may not know is that I've been here since 1998. So I've been involved with the debate on the debate steering committee in 2000, 2004, 2008, and now in 2016. And in 2000, I said this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And then I said it's a twice-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now I just keep a really good file because I hope we're doing it again in 4 years. But the energy is palpable, and there are so many. It's exciting to see the university transform. For me as a staff member, seeing the way the university community comes together to make this happen, address issues, solve problems, think creatively, and the answer is always, we'll figure it out, we'll make it happen. And that is really rewarding for me to be a part of.
And I will say this very quickly. The room we're in now, just talking about the changes here, this is a gymnasium.
That's right.
This is a basketball, or several basketball floors underneath us.
At least, because there are 3 scoreboards or 4.
And even the videos you see at these other universities, you'd never know what that room is before. What you're going to see tonight, you would think, is a full-time debate hall. That's a basketball court. All right, from a student standpoint, I mean, you're living history here. This is kind of cool for you guys, too.
Yeah, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I mean, it is so special. I talked about this already, but 3 or 4 days ago when the first media truck started coming and the programs really became, about the debate, I'm going to steal a phrase from Stephanie, the energy is palpable and people are engaging in a variety of ways. I think even for students who aren't focused on coming to or volunteering with the debate specifically, are talking about the process and why and how it matters to them. So in terms of people are just talking about so much and in such a wide breadth of issues and topics, which is really, really exciting.
I bet.
So I've loved it. There's student art pieces that are talking about different issues and creative ways of talking about what's happening, and it's the opportunities that have come to our campus because of the debate and the way that they're influencing, I think, a more permanent sort of civic engagement is really, really cool.
And Betsy, you've covered several
I
debates.
was here in 92.
Do you, and I always, people ask me this all the time, are you in the moment when you're out here? Because that's what I love about our job, is we get to see history firsthand. Does it still hit you the same way?
It does. I mean, we have had such an incredible front row seat to history. I mean, that's a bit of a tired phrase for me. It's on my Facebook page of the station. I mean, but that's what journalism is, and you are recording history as it happens. And of course, so you can't always offer opinions. I'm the old school. I'm not going to be the reporter who actually picks a side, or I want people to understand that there are multiple issues out here and multiple candidates. And of course, we've got a Libertarian and a Green Party candidate who are not included in this debate, and they're upset about that. Jill Stein is having an event here.
Yeah, not here. Over there here.
Yeah, right. Outside of the media-controlled area here. And but it's just a thrill. It is our Super Bowl for political reporters.
Well, and and I don't know if somebody can one of you guys throw me some of those the balls there from Facebook, and this is the kind of stuff that I love, right? Okay, go ahead and toss them over here. I used to be able to catch. So this is the kind of stuff that I love. Is, you know, like you got the Republican, you got the red ball there, you got the Facebook elections, and whenever I come out, I see stuff like this.
There's a blue one
somewhere. And it's just buried. We're not being partisan here. It's just way down in there. So there it is. Yeah, we'll use that one too.
Bad catch.
This is the kind of stuff that to me is still cool about my job. I've been to so many Stanley Cups, so many, you know, presidential debates, and I still sit around and I think, wow, this is the stuff that people are going to be talking about long after we're all gone, and we got to be a front row seat to this. And that to me, yeah. So the question was, is it cool to be a part of it? Oh my gosh, you have no idea. When you pick up the media credentials and everything, I keep all this stuff. My wife's like, do you really need a media credential?
And you've moved a couple of times.
Yeah, from the 1996 Stanley Cup. I'm like, yes, I need this stuff. This is that's why I got into this job. So it never gets old for me to realize that we're being a part of this. So that's
we got
the stuff.
another question. What is the debate focus about tonight?
Good luck, Rebecca.
Okay.
Who knows at this point?
Well, but this time it's going to be up to some degree to the citizens, which is a good choice. This is the town hall meeting format. And so the citizens were chosen by the Gallup organization to present questions. Now, then the moderators do get to select which question will be posed. And that's where you've got a journalist kind of interfacing with all of this. So we'll see what they choose. And then it's my understanding they have 2 minutes to answer, and then there's another 90 seconds to facilitate some response back and forth.
Right. And with this town hall format, both sides have kind of spun it into their favor. We haven't found an excuse to use our props yet. We had our art department make props. I don't know what we'll do with these. So
we're great. We're really happy to have questions coming.
How happy are we? The last question.
That's the best one.
The last question was, oh my goodness, thank you. But yeah, with this town hall format, both sides here have said, see how effective use of props, both sides have said a town hall format benefits them because they interact so well. Donald Trump can say, oh, I'm used to this. I've done this kind of thing in my business dealings. Hillary Clinton says, I've done 30 debates. I can talk to anybody. Who do you guys think benefits the most with the town hall format? I'll start with you. Is there one that stands out, or what do you want to see from them maybe?
Right. I mean, I love that we host the town hall. I don't know if that's coincidence or not because we've had them before, but the chance to hear directly about what citizens care about in their lives. And I think that's what all of this comes down to is, what is going on in communities and in people's homes, at people's kitchen tables, and how politics and policy affects that. And so I think that our students and the viewing nation and world get a chance to hear directly from people about what's on their minds and what they're paying attention to in the election. And I think it's also important to remember that the ballots are going to be full of a number of other candidates and a number of other issues. And hopefully when people do go to the polls, they actually have a plan for the entire ballot and not, tonight it is about the presidential candidates, but there's so many other conversations where this plays out.
Is it hard to get kids not thinking about this election interested? You've done some work with the Institute as well. How do you say, how do you convince somebody that, I ought to be reading either the newspaper or online or in person reading the paper so I know what's happening in my hometown, what the zoning board is doing, what the school board is doing?
Sure. I've found that people are really eager to have conversations about this, and may just be my group of friends. We all like sitting around and talking about the policies. I think particularly for people who are participating in their first election, a lot of student groups have put together programming to make people aware of local politics, how to order an absentee ballot, what the process of engaging for the first time looks like when you've moved to a new city and you don't know where your voter registration is and you don't know how to order an absentee ballot or when you should do that. But people are eager, and there's a lot of, I think, that there's a positive energy because enough of our students are really excited about this and want to facilitate dialogue and set people up with the right information that it's sort of contagious to the other students. And that, I think, is what's key for encouraging people to stay engaged beyond this election, right? It's so in your face, and next election it might not be in your face, but you can remember back to that time when, somebody stopped you as you were walking to class and asked you if you needed help registering for an absentee ballot, and that's what I think is really impactful.
How much competition?
For what?
10,000 students said they wanted to be in here. 200 get in? Was that the talk? Everybody wondering if they got the golden ticket?
Yes, that was definitely something that got a lot of attention. I think I don't know anyone who didn't apply to be part of the lottery, except for those who were like, there's just no way. So we're not even going to...
10,000, right? There's not that many more students here.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I mean, it's almost everybody
It was
applied.
almost everyone this time. Yeah.
So how do you look at the low vote turnout in this country? I mean, obviously that's a goal of the Gephardt Institute, is to raise that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What has been the problem?
Right. Well, we've had a very strong turnout at the university. One of the things we've seen when we've studied our data from the past is that we have a lower turnout of absentee ballots because students can choose to vote in their home state or in Missouri. And maybe you feel a little more removed. Maybe you can't find a stamp, or you forget to take care of it. So we're actually going to have an absentee ballot party and encourage students to do their research, fill out their absentee ballot. We will give them a stamp. But there's a variety of other mechanisms to make sure that this is a positive experience, particularly if it's a first-time experience voting, because we know that if we can create a first-time voter, they will become a lifetime voter, hopefully, but they'll also influence their household habits back at home. So we can actually create a shift in the nation, and we've registered over 3,100 students on our own.
Wow.
To vote.
Okay, very quickly. A few more here. We have a few minutes left. Sandra says she hopes candidates talk about the economy, terrorism, and immigration. And Jim says he wants to vote but doesn't like either candidate or party. We have certainly heard that this year. But what I find interesting from the poll numbers is everybody says they're unhappy.
Right.
But last numbers I saw, Gary Johnson is now at 4%, Dr. Jill Stein's at 2%. So they're not happy, but
those
they're
are not
going,
answers for people. And some people
Right,
are
they're not going
talking
anywhere.
after the Trump tapes, they are going to write in a candidate's name because they don't feel they can vote for Mr. Trump. And some very prominent Republicans are talking about
And that's one thing, and that's one thing we had a discussion on my previous show there was, at some point you have to put this back on the voters and say, but these are the people you picked in the primary. You can complain that you don't like Donald Trump, but you picked him knowing that other people polled better, like a John Kasich, like a Marco Rubio. They'd be running away with this election right now. Same on the other side.
That's right.
Well, not with Bernie, but some of the other Democrats, like a Joe Biden, who didn't want to get in. But yeah, everybody complains, but you had the opportunity to fix this, and you didn't. I think that's the frustration a lot of people
Does our
feel.
primary system need to be changed?
And
you think?
I certainly can't comment on that, but what we are trying to teach is that politics happens every day and it starts at the local level. And so you're talking about what led to this place, and that doesn't help the person answering the question, but that's our bigger question, is how do we understand the way policies are formed, the way politics happens, the way change happens at every level, at the social sector level, governmental level, et cetera, so that people can understand how to influence the change they want to see in the world.
Quite a mission.
It's a big mission. It is.
I'm going to get very real here for just a second. A little insight into me. I hate confrontational, awkward, uncomfortable TV. The first 10 minutes of this debate tonight may put me over the edge. I want to see what happens, but I don't know. Right. What do you expect? We'll start with you and we'll come down. We've got a couple of minutes left. What do you expect to see tonight for the first 10 minutes?
Right. I have no idea what to expect. Won't comment on that because I am a university official, but what I will know is there will be students cheering all over the university when they hear the name of their university mentioned on national TV.
The opening
Absolutely.
shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you?
I am not sure what to expect either. I am I think the excitement and unaware, sort of excitement about it is going to get people to watch the first 10 minutes, and hopefully that gets them to watch the whole thing.
Well, once again, we talked about it. WashU has the record for the most watched vice presidential debate of all time, 70 million, and now WashU might hold the record for the most watched presidential debate.
Right.
At least that first 10 minutes. I don't know what happens after that, but what do you expect tonight, Betsy?
Not being inside either the Trump or the Clinton campaigns, I'm not sure that I really would know either, but I can tell you I hope that it will be respectful and honest. And, Mike Pence told basically Mr. Trump to, show his heart. We'll see what happens.
It should be interesting. So, all right, ladies, thanks so much for
Thank
being
you
here
very
today.
much.
We do
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having us.
And thanks for watching our Facebook Live coverage here on Fox 2's Facebook page. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you got a few questions answered. And, yeah, the conversation will continue, I'm sure. And we got a full slate of activities and coverage scheduled on Fox 2. Hopefully you can check it out.
I'll be on Spin Alley tonight, and you will be
I'm going to be with Hancock and Kelly
down at
as they
KMOX
spin their
Radio.
own tales. This ought to be interesting there, too. So, all right, have a great Sunday, and we'll see you back here later on this evening.